Hello and welcome, everybody, to Explorers of Elsewhere's Tales from Elsewhere. Hi, we are live in your ear holes and your eyeballs. You don't want eye holes, you want eyeballs. That's much better. Hi, I'm DM Dan. Welcome. I am joined today by 6 creatures of unfathomable beauty, which is more than we normally joined by. Hi, Nate.
Hello.
Hi, Livy.
Hello.
Hi, Georgia.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Theo.
Hello.
Hi, Dan. Ahoy. And you need to get in the camera, dear. Hello, Daisy. There she is. She's bringing in the views. Oh, yeah. Daisy is the most excited of all of us, but we're all still quite excited to play some Daggerheart for y'all. Yeah. And normally we play Daggerheart with 4 players, but today, because we're just mad like that, we're gonna do it with 5 players. How's about that? Oh, okay, no, we're down. We're down. We've lost Daisy. Okay, never mind. Yes, we're gonna play some Daggerheart. It's the start of a new tale. We're coming towards the end of the year. This is going to be the last Daggerheart session. Like, it was adventure of the year. But we're looking forward to 2025, where we're gonna have lots of new stuff on the way. Before I go on any further, because I know I'm waffling a little bit, I would just like to do a little shout out, because we're going to do some happy, laughy larks, but if you like your larks a bit more scary and gruesome, then you should 100% check out Georgia and Theo's project, the Homeward Foundation, which managed to smash through its Kickstarter. It's fully funded. The Homeward Foundation is a go. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
What is it, for anyone who doesn't know?
Danny.
Okay, let's do this. So the Homeward Foundation is a found footage horror fiction podcast that's designed as a sequel to Dracula. We released the pilot earlier this year with a Kickstarter crowdfund, which we succeeded, which means we're going to be making 6 more episodes. It stars Rebecca Root as Madeline Townsend and Sean Carlson as Jeremy Larkin, and they both also play the ghosts of Mina and Jonathan Harker. It's a fun romp across the Yorkshire moors, being chased by monsters with kind of strange kind of intrigue. You're dealing with like codependency with ghosts and kind of like it's great. 7 heads. You've got the 7-headed Dracula to deal with. So there's lots going on. So if that sounds something of interest, do check out the podcast. You can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. And obviously that's where we'll also be updating production notes wise. And you can also find us on our socials and our website, which is www.homewardfoundation.com. Anything else you'd like to add, Georgia, in case I missed anything?
That was perfect.
Fantastic.
I hope I've spelt that right in the chat. Yes, certainly after we finished, because Homeward's not going anywhere. You complete your Kickstarter. So yeah, we can go check that out. So, 5 players, 1 new story. Who would like to get started?
Me.
Okay, let's go. All across the unknown world, rediscovery pushes ever onwards to find the lands and people lost. All thanks to our brave explorers.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm playing Vanya, the Wolfkin Warrior.
Hey, I'm Livy. I'm going to be playing Rayri, the Sprite Ranger.
Hi, my name's Theo, and I'm playing Cal, the Sangvar Guardian.
I'm Georgia, and I will be playing Alfric Stormhorn, a Dragon Scent Bard.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm playing Azakar, a Majani Seraph.
And my name is DM Dan, the GM in these adventures. The further we go, the more we learn of these magical tales from elsewhere. And so, with a flash of light, a now more familiar lurching of stomachs, 5 individuals emerge from a pre-constructed portal to the sounds of water gently lapping underfoot, the sound of town bustle kind of gently rolling through the air either side of you. And 5 explorers find themselves on a rather large, kind of wide, old, certainly, stone bridge in the middle of what appears to be a quaint little town that's somewhat bigger than some of the other explorer expedition settlements that have been created in the past 20 odd months. And this bridge spans over a kind of wide but gently rolling river. Explorers, you have arrived in the town of Islebridge. As you look around, the first thing that perhaps strikes your notice, Rayri, to you, all of the buildings seem normal, more normal than other buildings that you've seen. But for everyone else, you notice that more of the buildings seem to be a bit on the smaller side than you were expecting. And as you kind of take it, like kind of orientate yourselves and take in what you see, you hear the sounds of chattering as a group of sprites kind of wander past, and they're kind of nattering to one another. Oh yeah, we went fishing and I caught a fish this big. And they're having kind of a conversation there. Oh, excuse me, as they kind of pick their way past you. And Ravy, perhaps it's something, there's a joy that swells in your chest, because it's not very often that you find yourself in a settlement with a lot more sprites than usual. But actually, let's start between the 5 of you. What 2 landmarks pique your interest the most? Standing on this bridge, you can see that the town is in effect kind of split over both sides of this river. The river which you've been told is the River Island, that kind of rolls through here. So the town is built on both sides. Apart from the building behind you, we'll come back to that in a sec, what other landmarks pique your interest as you kind of look left and then look right? What's on the left? The eastern half of the city.
Azakar can see there's like almost like a town square, but it's almost not like a town square. It's like a town rectangle, almost like a square that's been cut in half. And sort of in the middle of that is sort of like a beautifully carved statue of like a quite heroic, let's say, heron sprite, standing sort of like upon like a big rock and lifting up a sword.
Okay. So it is effectively like a town square. Does it kind of bump up onto the river?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so yeah, you notice this rather heroic-looking Terran sprite statue to your left on the eastern coast. Someone else, what grabs your notice when you look right onto the west shore?
Rayri notices a shop that has a very, very large sign in the shape of a boot, and it specializes in tiny boots and tiny people.
Okay.
And Rayri's very excited because they don't normally get to see tiny boots or tiny people.
So sprite-sized boots. Okay, very good. Well, as Azakar and Rayri, as the two of you kind of pick up on these kind of landmarks, you turn to see that behind you, pretty much halfway along this bridge, and when I say the bridge is wide, we're talking a good, probably 20 odd meters in width. Like it's a very spacious. It would be a very spacious bridge if it weren't for what appears to be a tavern of sorts that is constructed on the middle. Some of it juts out. You can see there are some support structures going down into the river, but the vast majority of the tavern kind of footprint lies on this bridge, almost equidistant between the two halves of Islebridge. And you notice that, well, for everyone else, you notice that this building, this tavern, has what you would consider normal proportions. Perhaps a bit too big for a sprite, perhaps a bit too small for a keeper. But it looks old. It looks like it's been here for quite some time, but you notice that the swinging sign over the door looks relatively new. And it is called the Horse's Head. And from your missives that you picked up from Avamore that have led you to this place, you know that your contact that you're to speak to is the proprietor of the Horse's Head. As you kind of enter in, the building, like the interior kind of radiates this kind of welcoming warmth, despite being Lorivar, Acevar, Wolfkin sized. It's got a you've noticed there's quite a few sort of like corridors, almost as if they remind you almost as like rat runs that seem to be more appropriately sized for sprites. You can see that on one side of the bar there is a kind of a wooden, you could almost call it like wooden shelving, but it's like a half level upon which there is another set of kind of sprite sized tables. So they're being very efficient with the space in here. But there's a coziness. You hear the crackling of a fire in the fireplace. And the smell of good quality drink and food. Behind the bar, you notice as you sit down, is a somewhat portly Lorivar, with kind of big greying mutton chop type facial hair arrangements, hair combed back, and like eyes that look a bit too small for his head. But as he sees the five of you enter and take a seat, he kind of blusters over to you and, well, if I am not mistaken, you have the look of some adventurers about you.
Do we?
Yes, you especially, he says, pointing at you, Alfrek.
Alfric radiates excitement.
He, the barkeep sort of like smiles and then like bows ever so slightly at the waist, and he says, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Varon Verizon, proprietor of this here establishment, and I welcome you to enjoy our hospitalities. And you know that Varon here is the one that put in the job order for you. I'll pass back to you for a moment. How's Rayri, Azakar, and Vanya feeling being joined once again by the enigmatic Cal and the starry-eyed Alfric? It's been a few months.
It feels good.
Feels correct.
It feels correct.
Azakar's wondering who is this child.
Oh yeah, hasn't met Alfred yet. I think Rayri's just kind of looking between Azakar and Alfred, just like.
We've got Rayri already. Why do we need another child?
It's a slightly larger child.
Alfric, what series of events have led you to be here on official Explorer's Business? Since we last saw you at Ulick Manor in your hometown, what twists of fate have led you down this path?
Many a twist of fate. Oh, he's so excited. I think as soon as he got home from witnessing many a murder, he immediately informed his parents that he was going to become an adventurer, and was immediately told, absolutely not. So in secret, he wrote to the guild and requested some kind of help. So some way to convince his parents of the mighty need of him to become an adventurer. And that's when Cal showed up at the door.
Yeah. Cal turned up. I feel like Cal kind of, I want to say appeased, I think the wrong word, but turning up and telling Cal's parents, Alfred's parents, that he will be trained properly and that he would make it his major concern that Alfred understands how to defend himself, and that he will never do anything too dangerous that he cannot handle without him around. He regrets all this, but Alfred was probably like big puppy dog eyes right in front of him, and Cal was just like, I can't be bothered to disagree. So I think whilst you guys were having a spooky time, Cal was doing some training with Alfric so that he understands what it is to fight something and how to defend himself and to listen to people when they tell you what to do.
He absolutely has not learned any of these lessons.
He better have learned these lessons, because Cal will be very angry. Yes.
And now they are joined by a friendship bracelet.
No, they are not.
Made of Alfric's love and adoration for his new papa.
Well, so Cal, where it sounds like you've, fundamentally kind of taken Alfric under your wing, in the relatively short amount of time that you've kind of been together away from like Alfric's hometown, so perhaps through the streets of Avamore, perhaps on like a small little kind of starter job that the two of you picked up, what has been the most egregiously notable interaction that you've witnessed someone have with Alfric due to the fact that Alfric is a dragon sent?
Oh, I think absolutely someone has literally got down on their knees in front of Alfric and treated him like a deity.
Yeah.
And Cal is just kind of like trying to just try and relax and just be like, please move on, sir. He is a working dragon. He is not a deity. He is a working.
Please do not
It's a
distract
work-
him.
Please do not distract the child in training. He is an explorer. He is an explorer business. But probably by just giving the man who got on his knees a very cow gaze. And yes, so Cal has all I feel like those interactions might happen quite not I wouldn't say frequently, but occasionally enough that people are like, ooh, a dragon scent, and Cal's like, no.
Okay.
Stop. Control yourself. To these people.
Okay, so Alfric, in your time with Cal, you've been subjected to quite a few. Well, at the very least, at least one person has dropped to their knees in supplication. But what is the one thing you've kind of discovered that you've noticed being an explorer that you kind of weren't counting on? What was the most kind of eyebrow raising incident?
He's definitely one of the most sheltered people, man or dragon, that you will ever meet. I think just stepping out of his home, where he was so certain that the outside world would be exactly like his books, and everything would be fine and fun, and, you know, being hungry and cold and a bit tired were never really like things you'd have to deal with, because he's never had to deal with that before. And now he's been on the road and he's had to deal with, you know, circumstances that aren't the same as his own. He's had to deal with people who haven't dealt well during the catastrophe. And I think it sort of opened his eyes just a little bit to the fact that people aren't storybook characters, and people aren't doing very well, and there is a thing called poverty. And I think it's slowly starting to dawn on him that perhaps the world is a little bit different to how he pictured it.
For sure. Okay, very good, thank you. In which case we return to the present. Verizon has kind of welcomed you. And yeah, he this kind of portly Lorrivar man looks to you all with his slightly too small eyes. And yeah, he looks at you expectantly. As I say, he is the one who put out the job. The job in particular being what is framed as a rescue mission. The Lorrivar looks at you and I assume that you understood the particulars of the missive that I posted up to Avamore, but just in case, it's a terrible state of affairs. It truly is. You see, I don't know if any of you have visited the beautiful town of Islebridge before, but there are two families, I suppose you could say, that they don't run things around here, but they are the pillars of the community. I hope you understand. You see, you've got the Firehams and you've got the Fizbies. Now, the Firehams and the Fizbies, their clans are quite widespread, or wide-stretching, and the matriarch and the patriarch of the Firehams and the Fizbies, they're getting on a bit, and they were going to be handing down their responsibilities and the ownership of the clan, such as they were, to their daughters. But in a twist of ill fate, the daughters have gone missing. Now, the two young girls, they're ever so sweet. They're ever so sweet. Capuline and Montana. The two families believe that the other is responsible for the disappearance of their daughter, but they're pointing fingers at one another. And there's one thing I've discovered about sprites. Beg my pardon, miss, he says to you, Ray. But they can be imaginative little buggers. So there's all of this hearsay and there's all of this speculation about what's happened to these daughters and the two families pointing the fingers at one another and shouting some very mean things. But I have a horrible, horrible feeling that there is something a bit more troublesome that flows underneath this. I believe that the girls haven't gone missing. I believe the girls have been kidnapped.
First, we still not got a drink yet, so we need a round of drinks.
Beg my pardon. Myrtle! The Lorvar man kind of shouts over his shoulder, and you see there's some kind of crashing and banging kind of behind the bar area, and soon this like lady goblin kind of skirts out and sorry, she says as she kind of scooters on past with some drinks. I apologize, I didn't even ask for your order, but I assure you that this mead we freshly uncorked it this morning. It's going to be some of the best stuff that you've ever tasted, he says.
You mentioned a kidnapping?
Oh, why, yes. Myrtle, just distribute the drinks, if you please. Yes, the kidnap, I believe they've been kidnapped. There's something just doesn't quite add up. It just smells a bit fishy, and it's not the river. No. I think there's something more clandestine going on here. But capable individuals like yourselves, we don't have much to give you in the way of clues, but I'm sure that between the five of you, you will be able to sniff out whoever it was that is wishing such ill fortune on these two beautiful families. You can find their daughters and you can bring them right back.
Which one's the Capuline and which one's the Montana?
Capuline Fisby.
Fisby.
And Montana Fyram.
She looks around. Sprite, please? A chance?
Wow, yes. Capuline's one of them, one of you, Aquan sprites. And Montana, she's one of them airy sprites. No, Auran sprites. Yes. Not a fiery little go-getter like you, but yeah, they're they keep themselves out of trouble for the most part, apart from now. Huh.
Got their head in the clouds most of the time.
I think I get that, yes. Yes, how does that... Well, you're here, so I assume that you feel that the five of you are up to the job of finding these two wayward souls.
Yeah, kidnapping, that sounds easy. We just did like a triple homicide.
Oh my.
So, if only two of them are dead, then that's even better than last time. So I think we had more than that. We had more than that last time?
Well, I mean, I don't mean to speak for the Fisbys and the Fyrams, but I would suspect that neither of them would want either of the daughters to have shuffled off this mortal coil, and I suspect that they will both want them returned safe and sound.
Hold up a minute. Vanyard takes a swig of his pint. He's like, right. You say this is kidnapping, but does anyone know what the relationship is like between the two daughters?
Well, I mean, yeah, they're quite they're quite close. They seem to spend quite a lot of time together. I think they're just really good friends.
Like housemates.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant.
They get on well enough that I could imagine that between the two of them, they might, they'd be happy spending the rest of their lives together.
That's really nice.
They just fit together like perfect pieces.
Yeah.
So, what evidence do we have that this is potentially malicious kidnapping or whatever?
Well, it's just the timing. You see, it's the timing. There was a big announcement not too long ago that Tiber Fisby and Benville Fyram, that's the matriarch of the Fisbys and the patriarch of the Fyrams. They've only recently, said, "Oh, we're about to step down and we're gonna rest on our laurels," and that they, pretty much on the same day. And then they put forward Capuline and Montana to be taking over kind of command of the two families. Say they're pillars of the community. They do quite a lot for the town of Islebridge. But yeah, only days after this announcement, and these two girls found themselves being some of the most important people in the town. Then they just go missing. There's a part of me that thinks that it's just a bit too convenient, and then for both of the families to be kind of waggling the finger at each other. No, I think there's something going on here.
Between the two families, who would benefit? Who would benefit from kidnapping them?
The Larvar shrugs and, well, I mean, that bit I just don't understand. I mean, the thing is, the reason why they're so important is that, but from what I understand, I mean, the sprites have been here since, well, no one knows how long they've been here, and whenever you ask any of them, they just say, "Oh, I've been here my whole life." Yeah. The Fisbys, you see, they tend to look after, the Fyrams. They kind of stick to the outskirts of the town. They look after. They're like the cultivators. They grow the wheat. They farm the lumber. They mine the stone. They do the farming. And then the Fisbys, historically, they've always been the creators and the artisans of the town. They turn the raw product into delicious foods. They make the clothes. They build the buildings and everything. It's been quite a synonymous relationship between the two of them. But yeah, now they're just gonna. Now that they're at each other's throats, the whole thing's just gonna fall apart, and I'm worried. I'm worried that the town of Islebridge is just gonna fall apart as a result of it.
So where can we find the heads of, or ex-heads, would be heads of the two families?
Well, as I say, you can find the Fyrams on the outskirts. The house, their house tends to but you'll likely find them at their lodgings in the southwest. And the Fisbys, you can find them on within town on the east side of the city.
And is there someone who is outside of these families that know these two daughters well, that we might speak to as well, that's not so biased with one of these families?
Well, I mean, they got friends and whatnot, but I mean, a lot of the sprites here, their histories are so intertwined. It's like one town-sized family, primarily. But I mean, you could speak to the Mayor Scala. She's been here a while, but she's a sprite as well, but she's made a pledge to try and kind of keep separate from the Fisbys and the fire, and she doesn't want to seem like she's being biased one way or the other. There's Sheriff Perrin. He's an explorer that came along and kind of stayed put. But yeah, they've got a few more friends. You can speak to Mercule or Volio. If you ask for either of them, they might be able to help you out. Finally, I suppose there's. He's a bit of a spiritual leader, but the cleric. You've got a cleric of Selenith in town, Lorace. You could speak to him, I suppose.
Good to know.
Thank you for your information. That's very helpful.
You are more than welcome. I'm just hoping hoping with all the hope in my heart that you can find these 2 girls and bring them home. It would break my heart to see these families kind of lose everything that they build up. Let me just, in the chat, write down the names of those NPCs that I've just mentioned. So we've got Escala, we've got Baron, we've got Mercule, and Volio, spelled like that. And then there's Cleric Lorace. Boom, there we go. In the chat there for you.
Who are Mercule and Volio again?
So Mercule and Volio, they are friends of Montana.
Okay.
Mercule is the son of Mayor Escala. Cool. So,
Well,
so I don't have to keep on doing that voice anymore. Who, as you tuck into your drinks, Vanya, the drink, it's quite a thick. It's a mead. It's definitely a mead. It's thick. It's treacly. It's got a slight hint of bitterness, which isn't unpleasant in any way. But yeah, it is. He's not wrong. It is pretty good. It doesn't taste like it certainly hasn't been brewed for a long time. Like it hasn't had time to sit and develop for a long time, but it's tasty nonetheless. You suspect that if it were given another few months, years, or however long good mead takes to brew, it would be better still.
probably not good enough for a pie or something.
So between the 5 of you, what have you got? Any initial kind of thoughts or feelings? Anything that is springing to mind?
Let's ruin.
No, they're roommates.
Personally, I think that maybe the pressure got too much, And they're like, nope. Just
Yeah.
left.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Just no.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean,
we
what
don't
could
know.
be? They could go off to get. We still got to find them though, because it's not very nice. Even if they're shirking their responsibilities to just run away from their families and cause all this rift.
And surely
Like-
they would have told someone, anyone, their friends.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Hopefully, I think we should start with their friends. To be honest.
Dan, did
Maybe
Baron tell them
friends.
how long they've been missing?
So it's been a couple of days.
Okay, they could not have gone far.
It could be down a well.
They could be down a well, yes.
Wells, the mortal enemies
look
of
their
sprites.
Yeah. So I'm all the time. I got stuck in an hole. I've got. Doesn't take much, does it?
No, it doesn't. Not
or
with
in
you,
a-
really.
In a manhole. Had that before, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
There's a time I climbed a tree and then I could get down
The time
again.
you climbed the tree, yes.
Yeah, I could get down again.
It must be tough to live in a world where you're the only ones that truly acknowledge the dangers of puddles.
Once I just walked into a pot. I thought it was like this deep, but it was all the way up to my neck. Nearly died. Cow had to pull me out. It's fine though.
We shall keep an eye on you if that happens again.
Oh, wow, this place looks brilliant. Looks like it's all set up for little guys. You guys better watch out. You gotta get your nuggets locked in. Hitting all the posts.
Looking forward to that.
Just a quick question, Ravi. If we find like an item for
Yeah.
Vinny to
Yeah. I thought you were good at sniffing.
I mean, I'm
I mean, you could have a race. If you want.
yeah. I'm up for that.
He's pretty good though. He is good. Especially if it's Sprite smell, we'll probably be able to find Sprite.
Well, I think it's a good idea.
Well, should we? I reckon we talk to Folio.
Okay.
And
So
I want to say their real names.
Mercure?
Mercule.
Mercule.
Mercule and Volio.
Yeah. So Mercule is the son of Mayor Escala. So you would presume also a sprite. Volio, you're not sure of, but yeah, they both seem to be friends of Montana.
Oh, should we start with that? Should we start at the outskirts? Or do you want to start at the inside of the town? Let's start with the Fizbees.
I think it's better not to go to the families directly. Let's get some dirty
Unbiased
information.
opinion.
That.
I mean, what if it is
No.
love?
Wow! Well, it could be love. It could just be sex.
I suppose that's just as heartwarming.
Good. So where's your
Can't
first?
deny the animal instinct.
Where's your first port of call?
Let's go. Well, let's go find Folio, or police chief's son. Let's find if you find the police chief, we have to find his son.
Baron, where can we find the friends?
So
Are you saying it so you can do the accent again, Dan?
whoa, thank you very much. You can so Volio. Volio works in this quaint little cobblers just on the on the west side of town. You got me. It's right near the bridge. Actually, you can see it from the bridge. So it's the one with the big sign that's shaped like a boot.
Yes. That's brilliant.
But yeah, you can find Volio there. Mercule, you'll probably find getting under the feet of the mayor. So that's on the other side of town. Look for the big townhouse.
Question regarding the mayor. Does the mayor get on with their son, or like you say under the feet? Is it a
It's the sheriff.
difficult relationship?
No, yeah. So Mayor Escala, her son is Mercule. Well, yeah. I mean, as far as I understand, the two of them get on fine. It's just Mercule's a bit needy. But you didn't hear that from me.
We'll keep that under our hats then.
Very good, very good. And tell you what, don't worry about this. Is on the house. I say, I would rather keep you fed and watered to make sure that these two families get everything that they need.
Why do you have such a vested interest?
Me, well, I'm relatively new around here, but I've very quickly become enamored with the community spirit that the two families have permeated to the town. It warms my cockles. It really does. It really does. And I just don't want to see a good thing go to waste. So,
Have you got any pastries to go?
Myrtle! He shouts at you. Myrtle goes to fetch you some pastries. So, heading to Volio.
Yes.
Volio at the shoe shop. Okay.
On the way,
Yes.
a quick note. I sidle up, I think, considering the circumstances we're going to, I'll sidle up next to Rayri and say,
How are you feeling in this town, eh? You feeling like more at home or something, or?
Really? Because I didn't grow up in a town of sprites. Look, it's
So-
nice to see so many all together. I didn't even know that there was this many all together. Wait, all together? Like, what are they all doing here? You normally just get a couple.
Rayri, it is notable that as you kind of look around, it's almost fundamentally as if, almost like the roles of reversed. I mean, there are a lot of Lorivar in the town, but I mean, from what you're seeing, like the snapshot of the population that you're seeing, you would wager that there are just as many sprites as there are Lorivar. And that's taking into consideration that you can fit more sprites into like a square foot. There are other, that you, as you're kind of wandering around, you see like an Asavar, you see a Majani. But yeah, fundamentally, this town seems to be dominated by sprites and Lorivar.
Yeah, Vanya is just like,
Well, if you ever feel uncomfortable or anything, you let me know. I'll sort
Just
them out.
don't lose me. Because, you could just pick up the wrong one, couldn't you? Take the wrong one home.
Your buns.
That's true. I do got
Unmistakable.
one.
Not the buns. Buns.
No, I think, just look for the one that's got Biddy. Because there's not any more of those around. It's just this.
I can smell you from a mile away, don't worry. Oh, have you tried this pastry? Yes. It's great.
and as he passes your pastry, you probably notice that there's like a sprinkling of something extra on top that wasn't probably there previously, almost like an icing sugar. As he passes your pastry.
Mary's good. Do I eat it?
And you get free hope.
Thanks.
You get high as balls. That's
It's crack.
It's chloroform. Jesus.
Soldiers Bond, you and me both get free hope.
just okay. So whilst you're looking at that, so Vanier is up to 5 hope,
Yep.
and Ravy is up to 5 hope. Very good. Everyone, I'm gonna say, everyone, please roll me. Just roll some dice. Everyone, just do a normal roll.
Normal
roll. Just gonna
Nothing
see.
to add it.
I just want to see what you roll. You know.
Someone got a crit.
So Alfred got a crit. Okay, so we got a crit for Alfred. We got a 12 with hope for Rayri. We got a 19 with fear for Azakar. We got a 5 for fear for Vanier, and we got an 11 with fear for Cal. In which case, as you're walking along, Vanier, Rayri, you're having this conversation. To give, so Chris in the chat has asked, so sprites are about 2/5 to a third of the size of the majority of the other races. They tend to be sort of like 3 to 3.5 foot tall, so they are quite petite compared to the roughly 5.5 to 6 foot ish for the other heritages, keepers, then stomping around 7 to 8 feet tall. So the size difference is quite noticeable, and whilst noticeable, and I say this is a sprite settlement, it would seem. So Rayri, you don't really notice it because it's just kind of normal to you, but as Azakar, Alfric and Cal, you see this before it's about to happen. But as Vanya and Rayri are talking, there is a loud bonk as Vanya, you walk head first into a street sign that for you is at head height, but for Rayri is and there's a proper bonk as you come off the end of the bridge, and just clock straight into it.
I should probably look where I'm going.
It's
too nice.
Between the four like standard sized folk, you realise that all of the lamp, the the hanging lantern posts, the street signs, they are all potential health hazards for you because they're that much lower to the ground. But yes, so the five of you make it to this cobbler's. Rayri is absolutely right. There is a large sign above the door that is boot-shaped, and in gold flake writing, the sign says that the shop is called Tippy Taps.
That's gorgeous.
I think Livy's about to explode.
Beautiful.
Tippy Taps. You also notice that so Tippy Taps is a peculiar building because you know, sometimes when you see those kind of like rustic cottage-like buildings and they have these like they'll have an arch kind of roof, but then randomly on sort of like one side there'll be like it's almost like a shrunk down version of it, so it's the roof is a bit kind of lower down, so it looked a bit like that. But all of you recognise that there is a door for sprites, so a just over half-sized door on this kind of reduced size bit, and then there's a standard size door, like standard 6-ish foot door on the section next to it. So fundamentally an entrance for sprites and for the other folk of elsewhere. But as you make your way in, the smell of like leather washes over you, which isn't a particularly pleasant smell. But there's just a flurry of activity inside as this relatively large group of, I say, a medium-sized group of sprites are just busy, very, very busy ferreting away at like boots, like walking boots, farmers' boots. You know, they're hiking, but like they're boots of literally all shapes and sizes. You see a display rack of boots designed to fit the hooves of keepers. You see small shoes, and shoes for smaller. It literally says smaller folk on the sign above them, and not so small folk for the standard size ones.
Others,
yes.
Yeah. Large bastards.
But yeah, you notice that all of the, like, while the sprites are sort of like happily chattering to one another and seeming quite like flitty in their attentions, as they also seem to be like muscle memorying through their jobs. How are you feeling right now, Cal?
Very, very big. Cal, I don't think Cal necessarily thinks about his height. And with Rayri, it's like she's kind of unique to the group because she's the smallest one. But to be the odd ones out is kind of interesting. And I think Cal is rather tall. So his expression is just very much like eyebrow raise, looking around a bit intrigued at the whole thing. He's quite bemused.
I guess to paint the scene a bit more, it's just like Santa's workshop in here. Like it's
just choose.
just as you're looking around, like Raby's just constantly coming up to you like, blue ones, green ones.
As Raby excitedly says that, Alfric, you hear a voice you hear a throat clearing, and can I help you? And you turn to see a little Terran sprite. He's got he's got a relative. to look at his hairstyle would insinuate that his hair that's almost kind of been like waxed back into shape, but it looks a bit more kind of firm and sturdy. And like there's clearly an attempt to grow some form of facial hair, but to look at it almost looks like tiny little stalactites just kind of like jutting out his chin, like a, you know, like if you mix something between like a porcupine and stubble, just like little spikes just kind of poking out the chin and just behind the chin on the bottom of the top of the neck. But yes, can I help you? Says this sprite.
Do you need a size and a size 1?
The sprite turns and is shocked by the interruption, and yes, if you take a seat over in the fitting area, we'll have a look. And then he turns back to Alfred. Apologies. How can I help?
Yes, we hear about the kidnapping.
The sprite, just mouth drops, and the what now?
Alfred looks so earnest. I
feel like Cal just like puts an arm on Alfred's shoulder. It's like, my apologies. We're referring to the girls who have gone missing, Montana and Capuline.
The sprite looks at you. It's somewhere between aghast shock and confusion looking at you, Alfred, and then as you clarify, Cal, he looks up to you and... Kidnapped? But... I thought Monty had just done a runner. My apologies.
What makes you think that?
Well, and he stutters and stumbles for a moment. And, Monty and I, Montana and I, we're really good friends, you see. My name's Volio. We're best friends, really. I thought that she'd just done a run, kidnapped.
Did you talk to her before she went missing?
Well, no. That's why it was. We just assumed that, you know, her and Capuline had just, you know, just decided to get away from it all. But why do you think they've been what makes you think they've been kidnapped?
There's some concerned parties who believe they have been kidnapped. We know of the now fighting between two families, and one blaming other. But they concerned parties are believing that both girls were kidnapped.
Well,
I
yes.
mean, I still think they're having a little bit of a you know what, but
I really hope
what do I know?
Well, I mean, that's what we all thought, really. But, excuse, if I could just hold you for a moment, and I need to make sure that this young lady's got her shoes.
Oh,
She is with us.
Well.
But please,
yes,
do
she can
help her
wait.
with her shoes.
Great!
So Volio sort of like gestures to all of you to follow him, and there are a number of sort of like stalls of various size kind of scattered around, and he gestures for you to take seats on them. So what colour were you after, my dear?
Purple.
Purple. Okay. And he produces a tape measure from his sort of like apron, and he starts like measuring your feet dimensions. And then
It's an extra service.
well, as he
Never had my feet measured before.
and while he's doing it, he's sort of like looking over his shoulder at all five of you. And so sorry, these yes, we thought that the two of them had ran away because, well, you know, and
They're roommates.
No, I don't know. Why?
well, they're really good friends.
So we keep on hearing, so why would they run away?
No, I mean, they're really good friends, he says, like squinting at you with a nod.
Yes, we know, but why would
Best
they run
friends.
away?
Yes.
I'm not getting this staring at me.
They're deeply in love.
Oh, as friends?
No, as lovers.
Oh.
Oh, yeah,
My blushes.
Volio blushes as well, and it's one of the worst kept secrets in Islebridge, but yes, they've you know, when people surmise that the two of them were inseparable, I just don't think anyone ever truly considered just how inseparable they were going to be. But now there's all this talk about handing down power to the two of them, and perhaps they've just assumed that taking over for the Firams and the Fizbies is just going to put a dampener on things. Perhaps they just don't want to, they say that you should never work with your spouses. You're mixing kind of love and business, but yeah, perhaps they just thought that it would all just be a bit too much, and they just run away. But if you're saying they're and Ravi, you notice that he's now on like the fourth repetition of measuring the diameter of your feet, but they
haven't changed in the last 2 seconds.
Yes, 9 inches. Okay, but if you're saying that they've been kidnapped, no, not yeah, 9 inches. Yeah, sounds about right. If you're saying they've been kidnapped, well, then you've got to get them back. I mean, you look like explorers to me.
Who would benefit from them not being able to take over?
He sort of like, he doesn't really, well, I don't really know at all, but I mean, Islebridge is quite boring. It's a bit dormant. Nothing ever really happens here. The most exciting thing recently is when Varen turned up and sorted out the tavern on the centre of the bridge. That was the most exciting thing that's happened within the past. Well, I mean, apart from the war, that's been the most exciting thing that's happened since. But
if they are in love, where might they have gone?
Do they have any hiding spots or places they let get away from everything?
Well, I mean, they had hiding spots all over the city. It's where they'd go to meet one another, and kind of when they didn't want to be doing whatever it was that their mother or father was telling them to. The thing is, everyone knows who Capuline and Montana are in the town, so it's very difficult for them to keep a low profile.
Was there anyone particular who didn't want them to be together?
I mean, I don't even think so, though. No, I mean, they're, as I say, I think their relationship is one of the worst kept secrets in Islebridge, and Tiber and Benville, the mother and father, they're more than happy. They haven't made any noises that they disapprove. I mean, it would be quite archaic of them if they did. But no, I mean, everyone... So we just assumed that they were unhappy about something, which is why they left without telling anyone. But no, I can't think of anyone who would want to see them. Why would you kidnap them? That's awful.
Look. Let's change the approach here, eh? Do you know of any unsavory types that live in this town, that like a third party that people are a bit wary of, that they don't want to have any connections with, or might stir a little trouble now and then?
I do remember. So recently, at the nearby, we were having drinks at the Horse's Head, and Sheriff Parron was bemoaning that some ruffians who had turned up. They're a little way away from town, but he was keeping an eye on them just to make sure that they didn't try to roll in here and try to start trouble. And by the by, it seems like they mostly kept themselves to themselves. But a gang of Lorivar just kind of marauding across the countryside, being nuisances. I mean, the Firams were a bit worried that given that they're on the outskirts of the town, but they've not actually been in any trouble. But perhaps that's a lead.
I do think we probably should speak to the sheriff about that.
Where can we find him at this time of day?
You should be able to. Well, you'll find him over at the sheriff's office. That's just on the. It's just down the road, and you take the third left, and he gives you directions.
And one other question: do you have an item of theirs, a possession, something that might have their scent?
Volio...
For the dog, of course.
Oh, right, yes, of course. Oh, my, is this a... what a cute beast, he says as he scritches Vinny on the underside of the chin. Well, as a matter of fact, I do. Yes, bear with me. And having just finished the sort of like 6th round of measuring your right foot, Rayri, Volio kind of gets up, scampers off to like out of sight, and then returns with a flat cap, like a flat cap hat. Yes, this was Montana's. She used to wear it all the time because she always struggles keeping her hair in one place.
Take the hat. Well, I'll return it to either you or them if we can find where they are.
Very good, very good. That's yes. Please, make sure that they come back safely.
Yeah, don't worry. We're on the case. As explorers of elsewhere, have our heads screwed on. You'll be fine.
Very good. Yeah. The Volio nods. Are you staying around for the appearance of perfectly fitted shoes for Rayri?
How long are they going to take? 12 hours.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In the time it takes, like Volio to kind of give you, the directions to the sheriff's office and the like. Yeah, another sprite appears, an ignorant sprite, much like yourself, Rayri, and she looks to you, and you notice that her hair which is quite short, stands almost like on end and like flickers at the tips, like candlelight. And I've got a lovely pair of purple shoes here for you. And fitting them on, they fit perfectly. They fit perfectly. They've got little gold buckles on the outsides, on the outer sides. An ever so slight heel, not egregious, but just enough to give you a little bit of height, but still enough, not high enough that you wouldn't be able to like run in them. The price is the price takes your breath away somewhat, because it's a lot.
I would like to pay for it if you can.
Oh, very good. In which case, yeah, money is transferred. We're not really kind of doing wealth for these, but money is transferred. And you know what? For that act of charity, let's give Cal a hope.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so
Maybe gives him a hug.
so equipped with these boots, are you heading to the sheriff's office?
Mm-hmm. She puts them on straight away. She's literally she's wearing them.
Walking down the street like,
yeah.
As we're heading out of Tippy Toes.
Yeah.
Tippy
Taps.
Azakar is gonna pull Cal aside, and say a word to the wise. Control your apprentice.
They're gonna be like, stop spoiling the child.
I thought that was going to be as well. Noted.
You say this as in the background. And in the background, you just see Vanya just patting Alfred on the back. It's like,
It's good to have you back in the team. I knew
thought
we
I
could make
did
you an
rather well.
explorer.
As the five of you arrive at the sheriff's office, you see a bit of a commotion out the front, like in front of it. You see a rather like a relatively kind of well-built, well-toned, but harried looking Lorivar, hair kind of combed back under hair kind of combed back, and it spills over like a metal gorget that he wears over a tabard, and it's clear for all to see that this must be Sheriff Perrin. He is currently surrounded by a veritable flock of sprites who are all kind of angrily, grumpily grumbling at him. Like it's not, they're not shouting per se, but they're certainly not letting this poor Lorivar man kind of go anywhere. And like at the center of the gaggle of sprites is a relatively elderly looking ignorant sprite, who's just sort of like waggling a walking stick, not in an aggressive way, but in a frustrated old man kind of way at the sheriff. And you can see Sheriff Perrin just sort of like, please, one at a time. I can't hear what you're all saying. Oh my God! By the gods, he says as he's splashing around him.
if we're just coming up to this group of people, I think unless anyone intervenes, Vanya's just be like,
Move it! Official business with the sheriff.
Vanya, as you shout that, the streets around the sheriff's office go silent. And slowly, a good dozen sprite heads turn to regard you, including that of the elderly Ignan sprite at the centre. And they all in unison kind of squint slightly, as if and they physically size you up, like with their heads just going up and down. And then you hear one of them go, "Huh!" And they all turn around and rah! They begin grumbling and shouting at the sheriff. But the sheriff just, excuse me, and like very indelicately steps over some of the sprites to kind of get out of the ring of angry small people. They're quite fired up, but it's good of you to try.
You should use that language.
They're riled up.
Like a sticky situation. What, can we go somewhere private without all this ruckus?
Well, perhaps not. The firearms here are quite insistent. Is it something quick that I can help you with?
Go on, Alfred, tell him.
It's about the kidnapping. or possible eloping. I'm hoping it's the second.
And as you say that, Alfred, like the sprites that just kind of like swarmed after the sheriff, they all stop again, and then like the old Ignan sprite in the middle like leans round and kidnapping
or elopement.
The old Ignan sprite looks up to the sheriff, who's just, oh no, like covered his face. What's this about a kidnapping? The old boy says, and the sheriff turns and, Benville, that's just something that the stranger has just said. My daughter's been kidnapped?
No one said anything about your daughter.
The sprites all kind of look towards you as a car. It's like a flock of seagulls, just like looking at things in unison. And this Ignan sprite just sort of like puffs up slightly, and if someone's kidnapped my daughter, then it should be what everyone's talking about. You never said that they've been kidnapped, Sheriff, he says as he snaps. And I told you those Frisbees were up to no good. They're going around kidnapping my they just lure her away. No. These lot are saying that they kidnapped them. And he starts, as he like shakes in rage, the colour of his skin, like, which is kind of a dark ruddy red, he almost begins to like light up like a heating coal, as he gets more and more kind of irate, and the sheriff is now just kind of looking at you, Alfric, wide-eyed.
DM, is it possible to do something at this point?
Yes.
I use my primal gauntlets and smash the ground to make a loud noise. Stop all this grumbling.
Okay. That sounds quite...
I'm not a people
Fight
person.
a loader.
It's more of a...
Just an inconvenience to you, aren't we? Oh, just the little people getting mad.
He's just joined all of the Ignan sprites.
That's it. Tell all the little people to shut up.
Thanya, make me a strength check.
Cool. So strength. It's just a +3 on this. With the strength, let me just get the roll.
Just to clarify, I do not have the sound of a bowling ball knocking over a load of Skittles as a soundbite preloaded. So,
I mean, I'm not attacking anyone.
No,
making a
but
loud
just in
noise.
case this
Gonna
escalates.
fight a load of sprites.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, no. I mean, I rolled a a 18, but it's with fear.
It's with fear. Okay.
An 18 with fear.
An 18 with fear. You know what?
I'm trying to get people's attention.
You do successfully get everyone's attention. And, like, the firearms stop for a moment. Like, because they've been shouting quite loud. Like, watch it, Islebridge have kidnapped my child, my daughter. And then the sound of the thunderous boom as you kind of punch the ground. Like, the streets once again go quiet. Even Rayri, has to pause for a moment. And then, Vanya, as you stand up feeling quite triumphant, you hear from behind you, "What's this about us kidnapping your daughter?" And you turn, and there's another gaggle of sprites equaling the size of the first, but they are led by an old-looking Aquan sprite, who you, in this moment, like, you just get this suspicion that this must be Tiber Fisby. And if I know Benville, he's the one who's kidnapped my daughter. And suddenly these two kind of camps of sprites just start shouting and screaming like, rah, 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 rah. And luckily you like the sheriff, who's just wedged in the middle of them, the two kind of groups with the five of you, like, they're busy enough that he manages to kind of slide himself out with you, and they will keep going for a good while. I would appreciate if you allow us to keep tabs on public decorum, but my name is Sheriff Parrin. How can I help? It's just...
Rari's in the thick of it. She's not in the middle. She's just there.
Oh, yeah. We are trying to help in this situation. We just need to ask some questions to figure out some information or clues as to where these two may have eloped or have gone missing. And we've heard that you, Sheriff, have been having a little problem with some hooligans outside the radius of your town.
Well, yes, he says, and like a sprite has broken away from the crowd and is at the sheriff's leg, just shouting up, and he's just like, yes, and he's almost just sort of like, just trying to push the sprite away slightly. He's like, yes, there were reports of some like traveling bandits nearby, but they've not really interacted with the town. They've kept their distance, so they're not that high priority. But what, do you think they're involved somehow?
Well, when did they appear?
Well, about a week ago or so. I don't know. That's when we got the first reports. But
and when did you get the first report of these daughters apparently gone missing?
Well, a few days ago.
Suspicious.
But the town has a lot of eyes, and none of them saw the bandits coming in. The firearms, they've been scrabbling up my legs to try and get me to do something about them, but the bandits aren't really posing any problem. But the firearms would have noticed if they came close to the town. Look, as far as I know, we don't. The bandits are of no concern to the town, but if you want to go and investigate for yourselves, which by the looks of you, you're explorers and you're more than capable of doing, you'll find them in the in the hills to the north.
Right. And is there any other unsavory types of, not talking about typical civilians or these two families, I'm talking about, is there like an underground force at play within this town who might have unsavory motives? Thieves Guild or something, I don't know.
The sheriff kind of looks a bit shocked, and then like he gestures in a wide sweeping motion to the 30 to 40 sprites that are like the wall of deathing in front of the sheriff's office, and they're all just sort of like they're stood a good like 4 foot apart, but they're all like leaning forward and sort of pointing and shouting at one another. And do you think a thieves guild would survive this? He says with a sweep of his arm. If you want to help, by all means go and interrogate the bandits, but please, I now have a bit of a public crisis to deal with.
Well, have you even talked to these people properly yet?
He... As you say that, like, some sprites start climbing up his leg, and sort of like pulling on his trousers to try and get his attention, and the sheriff kind of closes his eyes, puts his hands up and says, I'm afraid I'm busy. Good day, he says, and he turns to the Firams and the Fizbees, and please, one at a time, he says as he walks away from you, with sprites hanging off him.
Vanya. Can you do that punching thing again? I'm getting Vanya to shut them all up again.
Okay. The 40 heads all stop chattering and then turn to look at you. The sheriff looks very upset.
Azakar is going to point at the head of the... Is the old chap the head of the Firams?
So yeah, it looks like in the centre of their respective gangs, at the front of this sort of like opposing wall of death, you assume that must be Benville Firam, and opposite him is Tiber Fizbee, the patriarch and matriarch, respectively, of the Firams and Fizbees.
You. He's going to point at them with his scabbard, and it's going to be glowing slightly with divine. Just basically trying to make sure that he is shutting up, basically, and ready to answer questions.
Okay.
Do you believe that these Fizbees, do you solemnly believe that they have kidnapped your daughter?
There can't be any other reason, says the ignorant sprite.
But why?
He turns and his brow furrows, and like he's got a lot of wrinkles across his forehead, and like his bottom lip kind of smacks against his top lip a little. These lot, they've got schemes on schemes, they have.
I thought you worked together.
Well, I mean, they only because it suits us, he says. And like Tiber, suits you? The only reason we carry on making things is because you're cutting it down or farming it too quickly, she says.
We have in good information that your daughters are together. Friends, lovers. I'm not sure. I'm confused.
You hear one person in the crowd go, I thought they were roommates.
Roommates, heard that as well. You will find your daughters quicker if you work together, like you have with building this town.
Azakar, I require... This sounds like
probably a presence.
A presence check.
Which I've got a -1 in.
Oh boy.
Can I help in any way? I feel like Cal's very kind of... Because Cal hasn't really reacted apart from his initial hand in face at the kidnapping comment.
Mm-hmm.
And just like let this all play out and kind of kept back and out of the way. but I feel like him coming up behind Azakar as a kind of more intimidating presence. Can I use that as a way of supporting Azakar's role to be like, listen to this man, but saying it all with his face?
So yeah,
Right.
you can spend a hope. If you want to spend a hope, then Azakar
Yep.
will get advantage.
Nice.
Yes.
What does
I will do
advantage
that.
mean again in Daggerheart?
So you get
plus
D6, yeah.
Nice, D6.
So Cal goes down to 2 hope.
Bloop. D6. Just wondering if this is worth it.
Oh, you haven't rolled your prayer dice as an aside.
No, I haven't.
Please, I beg them stop.
Make them shut up, please. I got a 2, and I've got a 2. Make a little mark of those.
So if you're on -1, I believe you're currently on 9 with fear.
9 with fear. I will use one of my prayer dice to bump that up to 11. I'm also going to use fearless. So when I roll with fear, I can mark 2 stress and turn that into a hope instead.
Okay. So 11 with hope, all in told.
11 with hope, yeah.
In which case, as you and Cal both try to reason with these matriarch and patriarchs, Cal, perhaps it's your time as a soldier, like in a war that was much more horrific than anyone really kind of acknowledged it would be, but there's like this sea of vacant looks staring back at you, and you can hear like murmurs ripple through the gathered crowds of sprites, and the 2 leaders sort of like look to you as a car, and almost simultaneously huff. Until my daughter comes back. Until my daughter comes back, the 2 of them start. We won't be helping them out one scotch. Come on, gang, says Benzel. Come on, folks, says Lady Fisby. We're going home, the 2 groups like declare, and then with the murmurs of consternation, the 2 groups of sprites begin to separate and filter back to their respective parts of the city. So the hope, at least they're not here anymore, but they don't seem to have. It doesn't seem to have got through to them. The message.
Ray just starting to follow the other ignorance.
Really, come back here.
I fear I might have said something untoward.
You may need to stop calling it a kidnapping.
Kidnapping?
Stop calling it. Stop calling it that, please.
Right.
So the sheriff is the only one left in the street with you, and yeah, he looks very unimpressed. If you're done, I will bid you good day, he says. And like with a huff, he sort of like turns and begins walking back to his office, pulling his trousers back up that have been pulled down slightly by the sprites. But at the very least, you have the location of the bandit hideout. Is that where you're heading next?
Yeah, why not? Unless anyone wants to go and talk to someone else first.
Well, I don't think it's anything to do with it. I think it's all to do with the Frisbees. I have a thing up to all sorts. Shady dealings. They get all the hard work done by the fire sprites. All of it. And they just go around doing their little paintings, doing their little art.
Really, look at your shoes again. Look at your little shoes.
Oh, tippy tappies.
Yes, they're very nice, aren't they? Come on, let's go.
Have you seen them?
Yes, I have seen them. They're very nice.
In which case, as you diffuse Rayri by getting her to look at her colourful shoes, as the five of you begin like making your way out of town to the north, to the hills, where the bandits were last reported having been seen, let's grab a quick break. If you are enjoying this, make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well while you're at it. If you're watching this live, you'll be able to chat to us if you are subscribed, but otherwise you can subscribe because we've got loads of other tabletop RPG stuff happening. We don't want you to miss out because we've got Blades in the Dark campaign that is due to conclude very, very soon, so now's a fantastic chance to start watching it if you haven't already. We will be back in about 15 minutes. So 10 to 10. We'll see you then. Bye.
Mate.